Hare Krishna, a very warm welcome to our program on Srimad Bhagavatam study. In this program, we are doing a detailed systematic study of Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the best Vaishnava literature available to us to understand the science of God. In this study, we have already done 84 classes. The videos of these classes are available on our YouTube channel, Gita Online Study. This is our 85th class, and in this class, we are going to do the overview of Canto 2. So we did our overview of Canto 1 in the 51st class, 51 class. And after that, it has taken roughly 33 classes to finish the study of Canto 2, which has 10 chapters. And after we have finished Canto 2, we would like to have an overview of what we have discussed in Canto 2, right from starting from chapter number 1 till chapter number 10 in maybe say 1 hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So what it means is that it is something like a quick overview of the whole canto in a very short duration of time. So the importance of this way of overviewing the canto is mainly because you can connect all the chapters in one single thread. So far we have done a detailed study. In detailed study, we kind of may have this possibility of losing the bigger picture. In the overview part, in the overview style, we can actually capture the bigger picture of the whole canto. How does it look from the from some distance? So that is the main benefit, and it will also give you a good revision of the whole canto. So with that little introduction, we go to our Mangalacharan part. So Rakesh ji will who is going to do the Mangalacharan today? Anyone?
Myself, Prabhu.
Okay, Rakesh ji, please continue.
Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamalам Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Than Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Okay.
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्योत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Thank you.
Very nice, very nicely recited, Rakesh ji. Thank you very much. So now we come to the subject matter of our class today, which is the overview of Canto 2. So we will do the overview by going to the each chapter, chapter 1 till chapter 10. And for each chapter, I have prepared one slide in the form of this small, you can say a flow chart or maybe a hierarchical boxes that I have created mainly to separate out the different subjects that we have studied in each chapter. So we will take each box and try to expand a little bit on whatever we have covered in that theme. Like that, we will try to connect the dots of the whole Canto 2, starting from chapter 1, first theme, till the last chapter 10, the last theme that has been discussed in that chapter. So, but before we do that chapter wise overview, we would like to mention to you the overall Canto 2 can be divided into three different themes, broad themes. In Canto 2, mainly three themes have been discussed. First of all, in chapter 1 to 3, superiority of Bhakti Yoga has been explained. Then from chapter 4 to 7, Sarga and Visarga, primary creation and secondary creation, has been explained through Brahma Narad Samvad. Then in the third theme, broader theme for Canto 2 is where Parikshit Maharaj asked a long list of questions, and in order to answer that long list of questions, Chatushloki Bhagavatam was explained in that chapter number 9, and then the 10th subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam has also been explained. So like that, you can see how we can divide the Canto number 2 in three broad themes. So why this Canto 2 started and how this Canto 2 got started, that is also important to understand. And we will do that by showing you this chart of Canto 2, chapter number 1. So as I was mentioning to you that in the chapter number 1 till 3 of Canto 2, first of all, superiority of Bhakti Yoga has been established. Now there is a background to it. So when we enter the chapter 1, before that, in the 19th chapter of Canto 1, there has been a small series of questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami. So mainly these questions are, what is the ultimate duty of every person, specifically one who is about to die, what this person is supposed to hear, chant and remember, and what he should not be doing it. With that question, the Canto number 1 closes. This question was asked to Shukdev Goswami, and when the Canto number 2, the very first chapter opens up, it opens up with an answer by Shukdev Goswami. So first of all, Shukdev Goswami congratulates Parikshit Maharaj. Why? Because he has asked a very nice question, which is beneficial to all kind of people. And the answer to this question is actually the supreme subject matter of hearing. So that is how it starts, by congratulatory note by Shukdev Goswami. And then from verse number 2 to 4 of chapter 1, Shukdev Goswami first of all clarifies what are those topics which are not to be heard. And that's where he explains the life of a Grahamedhi. Grahamedhi means an attached householder. An attached householder is always interested in me, my family, sense gratification of self or sense gratification of the family member, like that. So all the topics of hearing and chanting for this particular Grahamedhi is only revolving around these particular topics, like that. So Shukdev Goswami says that he spends his night in sexual activities and in his day in making money and maintaining family. That is how this Grahamedhi continues to waste his life. And so by explaining all this, Shukdev Goswami answered one of the question that was asked by Parikshit Maharaj, that what one should not be doing. So that is what he mentions here. what should not be heard and remembered. So in the first verse number 2 to 4, that has been the topic. And then after explaining what should not be heard, he then switches his explanation mainly to the topic what should be heard. And that is where the glory of Bhakti Yoga comes into picture. So he says that one who desires freedom from fear and miseries must hear about, glorify, and remember Lord Hari. So that is the topic that one should be doing it. So this is how the opening of chapter 1 happens in the canto number 2. Then what you will know that whatever question that Parikshit Maharaj had asked at the end of canto number 1, actually all those questions have been already answered here till verse number 11. That what is supposed to be done, it is supposed to be chanting, hearing and remembering the Lord, and what is not to be done, it is the topics that the Grihamidhis like, that is not to be done. So in one sense all the questions have been answered in first 11 verses, but then the discussion continues further. Shukdev Goswami consoles, gives some relief to Parikshit Maharaj that you please don't worry. It is the quality of life that is important, not the quantity of life. It is not that one should be living a very long life like a Grahamedi. Rather, one should live maybe relatively a smaller life or smaller duration of life, but like a devotee. That is much better. And in order to establish this, he gives an example of Khatwanga, King Khatwanga, who had only one muhurta, a very short duration of time. And in that one muhurta, he actually perfected his life. Then he says that Khatwang had only one muhurta time available, but Parikshit, you are lucky, you have actually 7 days. So in 7 days, if you do good hearing and remembering of the Lord, then that is much better. Like that, he further elaborates in the second theme of chapter number 1. Then the discussion further continues. Now, what is the next discussion or the theme is, because in the forest of Naimisharanya, this katha is being discussed, and sorry, not in the forest of Naimisharanya, actually it is the on the bank of Ganges where Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj are discussing this katha. So in that assembly, there were many sages who were not inclined towards Bhakti Yoga. They had a different opinion. Different opinion about what? Different opinion about the question that was asked by Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj asked this question, what is the ultimate duty of every person? So these different sages had different opinion that it is not Bhakti Yoga, actually it should be Gyan Yoga or Karma Yoga or demigod worship or Ashtang Yoga, etc. In order to address their doubts or their opinion, Shukdev Goswami now starts a discussion about Ashtang Yoga. Ashtang Yoga for liberation. So when he starts this discussion on Ashtang Yoga, he first of all provides the description of Ashtang Yoga from verses number 16 to 19. So he first of all tells that what is Ashtang Yoga? It is Yama, Niyama, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. So there are series of 4 verses where he kind of briefly gives an overview of what is Ashtang Yoga. And then after he gives this brief overview of Ashtang Yoga, then Parikshit Maharaj intervenes, and he asks few questions. He asks these questions about how is dharana accomplished. Dharana is the 5th step in the Ashtanga Yoga process. Sorry, it is the 6th step. Yama, Niyama, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, 5 steps. And then after Pratyahar, it is dharana. So dharana means where one fixes the mind and intelligence on the form of the Lord. So Parikshit Maharaj now asks this question, how is dharana accomplished? what is the bona fide dharanashraya? Dharanashraya means object of meditation, and how to quickly remove the contaminations of the mind. So several questions, 3 questions Parikshit Maharaj asks Shukdev Goswami. So Shukdev Goswami start to answer these questions. First of all, he answer that how to accomplish dharana. So he says that after perfecting the preliminary limbs of Ashtanga Yoga from Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam till Pratyahar, then only one actually comes to the step of dharana. One can meditate upon the Lord. After giving this answer, then he goes to the second question, which is the what is the bona fide dharanashraya? Dharanashraya means the object of meditation of the attached yogi. Now here, Ashtanga Yoga, we understood that the yogis could be of 2 categories. One category of yogi is that after one category of yogi is that one is a attached yogi. Attached yogi means not all the anarthas from the heart has been purified. And another category of yogi is he's a detached yogi. Detached yogi means who has managed to purify his heart of all the anarthas primarily. So, because the question asked by Parikshit Maharaj is, what is the dharana ashraya? What is the bona fide object of meditation for a Ashtanga yogi? So he says, first of all, he answers that for a attached yogi, the dharana ashraya actually is the Virat Roop form of the Lord. And then in this particular chapter, starting from verse number 26 all the way to verse number 37, Shukdev Goswami describes the various limbs of Virat Roop, which is the dharana ashraya or the object of meditation of a neophyte yogi who is still having some anarthas, who is still influenced by modes. There he mentions that all the 14 planetary system should be seen like the limb of a Virat Roop. Like for example, Patal is like the bottom of the feet. Rasatal is actually the heels and the toes. Mahatal actually is the ankles, like that. And then different descriptions have been given, so we will not go into that. But the point is, here he is now going into the discussion of Ashtanga Yoga, and while describing the Ashtanga Yoga, he's saying that the dharanashraya of an attached yogi is the Virat Roop of the Lord. So that is where the chapter number 1 ends. Then we go to chapter number 2. In chapter number 2, so in the previous chapter, he has given the object of meditation of an attached yogi. Now, before he starts description of the what is supposed to be done by the detached yogi, he in brief explains karma kanda and actually rejects karma kanda. Karma kanda means doing religious activities mainly for acquiring material gains. Like for example, if we worship some different demigods, then we can expect some different material benefits in our life. So from verse number 2 to 5, he rejects the philosophy of karma kanda. He says that is not supposed to be done by the person who is about to die. A person about to die has to engage himself in bhakti yoga, and a person who is engaging himself in karma kanda activities is not a very intelligent person. An intelligent person is someone who works only to keep the body and soul together, who is not very much interested in maintaining the body, is decorating the body, or very much interested in increasing the facilities for the body. That is not a very intelligent person. Intelligent person is someone who keeps the body and the soul together only by the bare necessities of life. Like for example, he's saying that if there is earth, then what is the need of cot and bed? If there is arms, then why do we need pillows? If we have a palm of hands, why do we need utensils? Like that. So he is criticizing that if we are wasting our life in accumulating a lot of material facilities and ignoring the higher objective of life, which is bhakti yoga, or love, developing love for the God, then we are wasting our life. So that is how he kind of rejects the karma kanda philosophy. And then and then he mentions that uh, instead of doing karma kanda for material benefit, one should rather focus his attention in worshipping the Paramatma in the heart and try to achieve liberation, try to achieve moksha. Like that, he is mentioning it, and then says that only people who are of very materialistic bent of mind, they will only reject bhakti. People who are having some intelligence, some good sense, they will certainly not reject bhakti. They will actually understand that the aim of life is not sense gratification or uh, enjoying with the body. Rather, it is mainly to strive for some higher purpose, which is like liberation. So like that, this is the one theme that happens in the chapter 2 of Canto 2 in the beginning. And then he comes back to the original discussion that he started in chapter number 1, which was about the Ashtanga Yoga. So in Ashtanga Yoga, the question asked by Parikshit Maharaj, what is the Dharanashraya? What is the object of meditation? See, already partially answered it in the first chapter, where he says that the Dharanashraya of a attached yogi is Virat Rupa. Now he is giving the Dharanashraya of the uh, detached yogi. He says that the Dharanashraya of detached yogi is actually the super soul, is the Paramatma in the heart. But before he gives that answer, he first of all gives the description of the Paramatma in the heart of the detached yogi. So if you see verse number 8 to 12 of chapter 2, he gives the description of the super soul. He says that this super soul resides in the region of the heart. The size of this super soul is 8 inches. He has a very beautiful smiling mouth, face. His eyes are like lotus petals. His garments are like yellowish in color. He has ornaments. Like that, he gives an elaborate description of the Paramatma in the heart of a detached yogi. And then after giving this description, which is very enchanting, which is very beautiful, he goes to the next theme, which is what is the Dharanashraya of the two kind of yogis. So he mentions that Paramatma is the Dharanashraya of a detached yogi, and Virat Rupa is the Dharanashraya of a attached yogi. That is how he explains in the next part, 13 to 14. And then he kind of further explains it. What is the process of living for an advanced yogi, and what is the process of living for a attached yogi? So the process of living for advanced yogi, he mentions in detail. He says that first of all, the advanced yogi practices from yama, niyama, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, and then he goes to the next stage, which is called dharana. And because he's already cleansed of these activities of anarthas in his heart, he then now meditate upon the Paramatma form of the Lord in the heart by doing dhyana, and then he enters into samadhi stage, and from samadhi stage he has this Brahman realization, and through the process of Shat Chakra Yoga, he uplifts his prana from Mooladhara to Agya Chakra, and then ultimately he achieves liberation. So he describes the process of liberation of an advanced yogi. And if you remember, we have prepared a detailed chart to explain all this. And then he now moves to the next process of living for the detached yogi. And this process is known as Krama Mukti. So what is Krama Mukti? Krama Mukti means that after at the dharana stage, at the meditation stage, because the attached yogi has not really purified his heart, he still has anarthas, then he actually goes to different stages, which is known as Krama Mukti. He goes to one planet and then goes to the another planet, and he goes to another planet. Like that, he continues to move progressively, stage by stage, from one planet to another planet. then he goes to Brahmaloka, then he changes from earth, watery, fiery, airy, ethery, and then he pierces his false ego, then he pierces Mahat Tattva, then he pierces Pradhan. Ultimately, then he achieves liberation. So there is a process of Krama Mukti given for the detached yogi. Like that, he has given this answer of what is the Dharanashray, and for detached yogi it is Paramatma, for attached yogi it is Virat Rupa, and then the process of living for advanced yogi and a neophyte yogi, Krama Mukti has been explained like that. And then after giving this explanation, he comes back to the theme, which here where he says that bhakti is the best path. Bhakti is the best path. And in order to establish that, he first of all gives the example of Lord Brahma, where he mentions that Lord Brahma himself studied these Vedas 3 times, and then after studying these Vedas 3 times, the Lord also came to the conclusion, Lord Brahma also came to the conclusion that Bhakti Yoga is the only path, or is the best path. So therefore, because it is the verdict of Brahmaji also, it is also what I am, it is my experience also. Therefore, one should practice bhakti by hearing, glorifying, and remembering the Lord. So, if you do so, then you achieve, you purify yourself and you achieve the lotus feet of the Lord, or you achieve the Preeti of the Lord. So, that is how he sums up this chapter number 2. So, let me take a little pause and go back to the devotees. So is it clear? Chapter 1 and 2, the flow of thought and all these things is very clear. Some feedback?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, very good.
The last one was covered in the 2 or 3 memorization classes, 33 to 37.
Correct. So
Hare
now,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, can you again explain this Krama Mukti? Like this Krama Mukti is not for the advanced yogi.
No, Krama Mukti is not
It
for
is
the
for,
advanced devotee.
okay.
It
It
is
is
mainly for
for
the
the
neophyte
attached
devotee.
yogi.
It is for the attached devotee. Yeah, the
Okay.
attached devotee, he takes a long path. Like for example, you can say for an advanced devotee, it is taking like a direct flight to maybe from Bangalore to Delhi. But the neophyte devotee doesn't want to take that direct flight. He first of all goes to maybe some nearby, travels maybe another uh, 50 kilometers, stay there, then another 50 kilometers, then another 50 kilometers. Like that, progressively, he's moving towards its goal. That is what.
So, yeah,
Hmm,
can I understand like this that
hmm,
attached yogi,
hmm,
he will first worship Virat Rupa,
hmm.
then he will go to the next step of worshipping Super Soul in his heart, and finally he will take Shat Chakra Bhedan. That to explain. Is that
No,
okay?
he does not go the Shat Chakra process. He actually goes by going to different lokas. So he's meditating on Virat
Okay.
Rupa, but since he has
Yeah.
already have desires, he first of all go to, like for example, Vaishvanar Lok, and in the
Yeah.
Vaishvanar Lok he will be cleansed of his desires. Then he goes to
Okay.
uh,
Shishumar. Yeah.
Shishumar Lok.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then in Shishumar Lok, he will start relating with the Lord. Then he goes to
Okay.
Mahar Lok, that is the third stop.
Mm, mm,
Then he sees the 3 worlds burning in the fire from the mouth of Ananta at the end of Brahma's life. And then he goes to
mm,
Brahmalok.
mm,
And then in Brahmalok, he feels compassion for the suffering non-devotees. And after
mm,
reaching Brahmalok, if the yogi desires to stay until the end of Brahma's life, he attains
mm.
liberation at that time with Brahma. So Brahmaji
Okay.
life, when the Brahmaji lives end, he attains liberation at that time. If
Mm,
he desires to have liberation before that, then he pierces the
mm.
7 coverings of the universe and then enter Brahman.
Oh, yeah.
So
Thank you, sir.
he follows a very long route.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is how this has been described. So far in first 2 chapters, The answer to Parikshit Maharaj question asked in Canto 1, chapter 19 has been given. And then in order to satisfy the other opinionated sages, for example, Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, etc., he starts this discussion on the Ashtang Yoga thing. And in between, he also covers the Karma Kanda part. Then he goes to the third chapter. Now the third chapter starts. In third chapter, he covers another category. This category is of demigod worshippers. So while explaining the category of demigod worshippers, he mentions that this path actually is chosen by less intelligent men. And a long list of demigods and the desires has been given. Say, for example, if you want good progeny, then you need to worship Prajapati Daksha. You want to have good fortune, you need to worship Durga Devi. You need power, you need to worship Agni. You need money, you need to worship Vasus. You need to be a great hero, you need to worship Rudra. Like that, a list of demigods, and by worshipping those demigods, which desire you can fulfill, that has been given from verse number 2 to 9. There is a list of almost 26 demigods and 26 type of desires. And then he mentions, after covering all categories, Ashtang Yogis, Karmakandis, and then the demigod worshippers, he says that even if you are of any category, bhakti does not require any prior qualification. Even if you are a category belonging to moksha kami, you need liberation. If you want to fulfill all the desires, or if you are in the category of devotees, akama sarva kamo va moksha kam udaradhi. That is the verse. Whatever category you belong to, if you take to bhakti yoga, actually you can achieve the result. So bhakti can be done by follower of all paths. And then after finishing this discussion, that the follower of paths like Jnana Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, demigod worshippers, Karma Kandis, everyone can actually do it. And the way to do it by associating with the devotees. Then he he has answered the question that was asked by Parikshit Maharaj at the end of Canto number 1 in chapter number 19. So the discussion now continues to stop. Now when the discussion stops, when the answer has been given, then Shaunak Rishi inspires Sud Goswami to speak more. Because earlier the discussion started in the Canto number 1, where the discussion is going on between Shaunak Rishi and Sud Goswami in the forest of Naimisharanya. From there, the discussion went with where how did Shukdev Goswami meet Parikshit Maharaj, what did they do, etc., etc. And then this discussion started. Now what they are saying is, now my dear Sud Goswami, please speak more. Because we can imagine that when two great devotees, Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami, when they came in contact with each other, they must have discussed, they might have discussed many more topics. So please explain to us more topics, and then that is how they inspire. And at the same time, in this chapter number 3, while Shaunak Rishi is inspiring Sud Goswami to speak more of Krishna Katha, speak more of Hari Katha, there we find there is a description of certain verses where these Shaunak Rishi, he criticizes those people who do not hear Hari Katha. He glorifies Hari Katha. He's saying that it is the best utilization of time. People who are not hearing Hari Katha are like trees, are like bellows of blacksmith, are like beasts, like that. And then he says that these people are very like animalistic people who don't have taste and interest in Hari Katha. And then later on, there is a limb by limb description of a person who is averse to Hari Katha. Like, for example, it says that a person who is not very fond of Hari Katha, his ear holes are like holes of snakes. And then his tongue is like tongue of a frog. And then his eyes are like plumes of a peacock. his legs are like tree trunk. His legs are like tree trunk because they don't like to go to the holy places. Like that, there is a description of different type of comparing with different comparisons for people who are not very averse to Harikatha. So like that, chapter number 3 concludes. So that is where the first theme, where in the first 3 chapters, glorification of bhakti has been given. Answer to Parikshit Maharaj question that he asked in the beginning, in the end of chapter canto number 1, chapter 19, that has been delivered. Like that, first 3 chapters have been in the canto number 2 has been covered. I hope it is clear to all the devotees till chapter 3. Now the next theme starts. Next theme is, because Parikshit Shaunakadi Rishis is asking Sud Goswami that now, because Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami are together, they must have discussed many more topics. So what other topics they have discussed? Please explain those to us. So with that, we enter into chapter number 4. So in chapter number 4, first of all, Sud Goswami describes what happens next after that discussion of that Bhakti Yoga is the best, and the person is about to die, should take to Bhakti Yoga. After that discussion was over, Sud Goswami is describing the state of mind of Parikshit Maharaj. First of all, he says that Parikshit Maharaj was now very much concentrated on hearing Harikatha. He had a very detached heart, and he is inquiring about Shukdev. He is inquiring more from Shukdev Goswami. So this is the first theme that happens in the chapter number 4. That Parikshit Maharaj becomes very detached.
I'm very sorry to interrupt, but can you please also remind us, how did he answer to the question that Bhakti Yoga is Shrestha than other yogas in the first 3 chapters?
Because he mentioned that one's supposed to hear, chant, and remember the Lord. So that is what is Bhakti Yoga is all about. These are the limbs of Bhakti Yoga. And the way he establishes it by giving the reference of Brahmaji, he says that Brahmaji studied the Vedas 3 times and he came to the same conclusion. So that is how he establishes this. Okay, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
And then by explaining the process of Ashtanga Yoga, he is kind of addressing the Ashtanga yogis or people who are who are inclined toward Ashtanga Yoga in that assembly. What he's trying to say that by Ashtanga Yoga, at best you can achieve liberation, moksha. You don't achieve the lotus feet of the Lord, the prema. And then in the end of the second chapter, he says that by doing Bhakti Yoga, you purify yourself and you achieve the lotus feet of the Lord. Vrajanti tat charan saroru hantikam. So like that, he established the superiority of Bhakti Yoga. And then he, in the third chapter, he condemns demigod worship, is saying that not very intelligent. And then finally he says that whatever category you are, if you do bhakti, tivra bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. That is what he mentioned in the third chapter. And then he enters into fourth chapter. Why he fourth chapter describing about how Parikshit Maharaj is state of mind is very detached. He is fully absorbed in Krishna Katha. He is not feeling any thirst and hunger, etc. And he is very much focused. And in that state of mind, he is inquiring further from Shukdev Goswami. That is how chapter 4 opens. And then what inquiries he is making? He is inquiring from Shukdev Goswami how the Lord created this universe, how the Lord maintains this universe, how he destroys this universe, how he carries out primary creation, how he carries out secondary creation, Sarga and Visarga. And how does the Lord expand himself? These are the kind of question Parikshit Maharaj then later asks. So that is the next theme that happens in chapter 4. And now Shukdev Goswami, first of all, before answering Parikshit Maharaj question, Shukdev Goswami recites some prayers. From 11 to 25, he offers prayers to the Supreme Lord, and then from uh, uh, so 11 to 25, like for example, there are 15 verses only prayers, and these 15 verses, first verses from 12 to 18 is of one category, and from verse number 19 to 23 the verses are of different category. Here the category is, I offer my obeisances to the Lord, who is so and so, who is so and so, who is all auspicious, who is like this, who is like that, who is shelter of his devotees, like that, who cleanses the devotees from his sins and all that, like that. This is one style of praying. And then the second style of praying is, may the Lord be pleased with me, may the Lord, Supreme Lord, who is like this, be pleased with me. Then he offers another set of prayers from 19 to 23. So there are prayers here, and then he starts to answer Parikshit Maharaj question about creation. He says that I will answer your question by quoting Brahma Narad Samvad. So there had been a dialogue between Brahmaji and Narad Muni long time ago, and the subject matter of that dialogue was the same. How does the Lord creates, how he maintains, destroys. So let me take you to that Brahma Narad Samvad, and by referring to that Brahma Narad Samvad, I will answer your question. So that there the chapter 4 ends. I hope that is clear. Any question till here?
No.
So the flow is clear so far?
Clear, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Okay. Move to the next one. In chapter number 5, because now he's referring to the Brahma and Narad Samvad, he mentions that Narad ji asked Brahma ji, his father, questions. There were 6 questions. At the same time, Narad ji also expressed his conviction and also had some doubt. So what were the questions? Questions were yad rupam, yad adhishthanam, yad shrishtam, yad samstham, yad param, yad cha. 6 questions. What does this mean? What is the characteristic of the universe? What is its shelter? How it is created? How it is conserved? What does it depend on? And what is it composed of? What are the ingredients? Like that, question number 1 till question number 6, Q1 to Q6. And then Narad ji also expresses some conviction. He says that, Brahmaji, you are my father, you know everything about the creation. Because everything created in the past, present and future is within your grip, like a walnut. You are independent. I think you are the supreme independent Lord. You are self-sufficient. You create by your energy, just like spider creates a cobweb without anyone's help. And then I know no other source for the creation but you. Like that, in these 4-5 verses, Narad ji is expressing his conviction that, Brahmaji, I think you are the topmost creator. But then he also had a doubt, which he expresses in the next 2 verses. He says that, although I think that you are the creator, you are the supreme creator, but sometimes I do see you also performing some austerities, doing some tapasya. So tapasya is done something on something which is superior to you. So is there someone more powerful than you? More powerful than you? Please, can you clarify? So like that, he asks his question. And that forms the basis where Brahmaji will now answer Narad Muni's question. And while answering Narad Muni question about creation, actually the Parikshit Maharaj question about creation is being answered by Shukdev Goswami. Now Brahmaji starts to answer. He clarifies and destroys Narad doubts. So Brahmaji says, first of all, my dear son, thank you very much for your question. But let me tell you, I am not the creator. I am but a subordinate to the Supreme Lord. I only recreate what has already been created by the Lord. Like that, he starts to answer Narad Muni's question. Then he says that, why do people think I am the creator? Because people are bewildered by Maya. And because they are bewildered by Maya, they don't understand the Supreme Lord. and mistakenly they think that I am the supreme. Like that, Brahmaji clarifies Narad Muni's question. He clarifies and destroys Narad doubts also. So Narad was thinking that Brahmaji was the supreme creator. Brahmaji clearly mentioned that he is not the supreme creator, he only recreates. So then Brahmaji answers Narad Muni's question number 1, 2, and 5. So question number 1 is, what are the characteristics of this universe? Question number 2 is, who is the shelter of this universe? And question number 5 is, on whom this universe actually depends. So first of all, he says that what are the characteristics of the universe? So in order to answer the characteristics of this universe, he says that it is actually 5 components are there which are non-different from Lord Vasudev. What are these 5 components? Dravya, Kal, Karma, Swabhava, and Jiva. And all these things are actually non-different from Vasudev. So what are the characteristics of this universe? Actually, it is Vasudev. Then question number 2, what is the shelter of this universe? So shelter of this universe, he says that it is Gati, Gyan, Tapa, Yoga, Makha, Loka, Devata, Veda. That is Yad Adhishthanam, that is the shelter. So the shelter of this universe is Narayan. Narayan is the Gati, Narayan is the Jnana, Narayan is the Tapa, Narayan is the object of yoga, Narayan is the goal of Makha, Narayan is the topmost destination Loka, Narayan is the topmost Devata, Narayan is the Veda, like that. So he answers question number 1, question number 2, question number 5 that it is Vasudev, it is Narayan. So the characteristics of this universe is actually Narayan or Vasudev. The shelter of this universe is Vasudev and Narayan. And then it depends upon whom? It depends upon Vasudev and Narayan. Like that, he answers all 3 questions. The first 3, the 3 questions out of 6, what Brahmaji was asked by Narad Muni. Then Brahmaji starts a different theme. He says that he is not the supreme creator, he is different from the Lord. His characteristics as Brahma is different from the characteristics of the Supreme Lord. So there is a discussion about Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. So in that discussion, he says that the Lord created Brahma, who recreates with the Lord's inspiration. So that's what he mentions here. Then he further explains that the transcendental Lord controls and covers the jivas with 3 gunas, who then cannot see him. So that is how he explains the difference between Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. Then further, he answers the process of creation, which is question number 3, how it is created. There, he first of all explains the Karan Srishti. Karan Srishti means how the ingredients for the creation are created. That's where he explains about that the Karanodakshay Vishnu glances into the material nature and impregnates the material nature with Jiva. Then Pradhan comes, then Mahat Tattva comes, then Ahankar comes, like that. And then from Ahankar, we get the Jnana Shakti, the Kriya Shakti, the Dravya Shakti. So you remember, we discussed that elaborate chart. From Jnana Shakti comes the mind, the 10 sense devatas. From Kriya Shakti comes the 10 senses, prana and intelligence. And from Dravya Shakti comes 5 sense objects and 5 gross elements. So these are the ingredients, the Karana Srishti. And once the ingredients are there, once the ingredients are available, the ingredients by themselves do not form the Srishti, do not form the creation. Then these ingredients are assembled. And when the ingredients are assembled, then the Lord, with the help of its compacting energy, then a universal fetus is created. This universal fetus remains in the causal ocean for thousands of years, and then the Lord, the Mahavishnu, enters in each of them as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, assumes the Virat Roop form with thousands of legs and arms and forms. And that's how the Karya Srishti. Karya Srishti means the functional, the universes becomes functional. They are now ready because the Lord has now entered into it. The universes now have been created. So Karana Srishti means the ingredients, and Karya Srishti means assembling of that ingredients, which does not happen until the Lord enters into it, like that. And then he further explains the description of the Virat Roop, how the different Varnas are actually part of the Virat Roop. The Brahmanas are the mouth, the Kshatriyas are the arms, the Vaishyas are the thighs, the Shudras are the legs. And then he also explains the Virat Roop in the form of planetary system, like the Satyalok is the head of the Virat Roop, Tapalok is the breast of the Virat Roop, Janalok is the neck of the Virat Roop, and like that, Mahatal is the ankles, Rasatal is the upper portion of the feet, and Patal is the sole of the feet, like that. So when the Lord enters into the each of the universe, he assumes a Virat Roop with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, and heads, and then further he explains gives the description of the Virat Roop in this chapter number 5. So like this, the question answered is how the creation happens. The creation happens through Karana Srishti and Karya Srishti, and in Karya Srishti, the Lord enters and assumes the form of a Virat Roop, and then some description of Virat Roop has been given. So like that, chapter number 5 concludes. So any question till this point?
Can you please explain again Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva?
So Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva, the difference has been explained that the Lord creates Brahma, who recreates with the Lord's inspiration. So Brahma is saying that Jiva is always dependent on the Lord, and the Lord is fully independent. So Jiva is dependent and Lord is fully independent. That is Jiva Tattva, and Vishnu Tattva is he is fully independent.
Okay.
So that is one.
So
That is
Brahmaji is calling himself to be Jiva Tattva.
Jiva Tattva. Yeah.
In regard to creation.
In regard to creation, correct.
Oh.
And then he says that the transcendental Lord controls and covers the jivas with 3 gunas, who then cannot see him. So what he's trying to say is that jiva is subject to the covering by the Maya Shakti of the Lord. But
yes.
The Lord is not covered by the Maya Shakti, it is the subordinate Shakti to the Lord. That is what is there another difference. Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
The Jiva cannot see the Lord because it is covered by these gunas, by the Sattva, Rajas and Tamo gunas. But the Lord is not, Lord is above and independent of these 3 gunas. That is how he explains. Okay.
Yes,
Is it clear?
yes.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, question number 1 to 5 have been answered. So remaining questions, question number 3 is also answered. Question number 4 is unanswered. Question number 6 is unanswered. So with that, we enter into chapter number 6. So here, first of all, Brahmaji answered question number 6. So what was question number 6? What it is composed of? What are the ingredients? So what are the ingredients of the universe? So in order to explain that, Brahmaji mentions that Lord is actually both the material and the effective cause. So if you remember, I gave you the example of a kumhar, a potter. So a potter uses clay, water, maybe some binding material, a potter wheel, a stick. All these are ingredients. Using these ingredients, the potter creates a pot. But that is the material cause, upadan karan, the ingredients. And then there is an effective cause. Effective cause, unless the potter rotates the wheel, unless potter actually uses his intelligence to give shape to the pot, the pot will not be made. He uses his intelligence, uses his energy, etc. Till then, he cannot create. So that is what the Lord says. He is both the material cause as well as the effective cause. So for material cause, he mentions that Garbhodakshai Vishnu's limbs provide the ingredients for the universe. So you might remember that we discussed one formula there, that from the Garbhodakshai Vishnu's subtle sense organ comes what? From the subtle sense organ comes the sense objects and the elements. So for example, Garbhodakshai Vishnu subtle sense organ means, let us take the example of Jivva. So Jivva is the subtle sense organ and the gross sense organ is Talu. From the Lord's subtle sense organ comes the sense object, which is taste, and also comes the element, which is water. And then from the Lord's Garbhodakshai Vishnu's gross sense organ comes what? The sense devatas and the subtle sense organ of Virat Roop and Jiva. So from Lord's Talu is the gross sense organ, comes Varuna, which is the sense devata of the taste, and then comes the Jiva of Virat Roop and the Jiva. So that is what he answers. What is the ingredient? How is the universe composed of? So that's where he mentions that actually the material cause of this universe is also the Lord, and the effective cause of the universe is also the Lord. So the Lord is the material and the effective cause. So that is where he answers question number 6. The question number 6 was, what are the ingredients? So the ingredients actually come from the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Sense objects and elements come from his subtle sense organ, and sense devatas, sense organ of Virat Roop and Jiva actually comes from his gross sense organ. So I hope till this point it is clear. Lord is both the material and the effective cause.
Yes. Yes.
So this is the material cause. How is the effective cause? The Lord also acts as the effective cause of the universe by energizing the universe both from inside and outside. So this is how he answers question number 6. Then he further elaborates that one should not understand that the Lord is only the master of the material universe. Actually, he is also the master of the spiritual world. That's where he brings this discussion about Ek Pad Vibhuti and Tri Pad Vibhuti. Ek Pad means 1/4, Tri Pad means 3/4. So Ek Pad Vibhuti means the material universe, and Tri Pad Vibhuti means the spiritual world. So he's saying that he is the Lord of both the Vibhutis, Ek Pad and Tri Pad. And that's where the discussion about Tri Pad Vibhuti is also there. There's a difference between Ek Pad and Tri Pad. Ek Pad means there is presence of cycle of birth and death. Tri Pad means there is no birth and death. Ek Pad means that the
Time and space.
Yeah, that the Jiva wants to enjoy and lord it over the material nature. In Tripad Vibhuti, there is no such lording over. They are all devotees. They are all aligned with the objective of the Lord. And then the Jivas are not inclined in Ekpad Vibhuti towards the Lord, but in Tripad Vibhuti, the Jivas are inclined towards the Lord. Like that. So the Prema experience, the Satchid Anand experience in the Ekpad Vibhuti is very small, but in Tripad Vibhuti, the Satchid Anand experience is full. Like that, there is some discussion about difference between Ekpad Vibhuti and Tripad Vibhuti. And then after this discussion, Brahmaji answers question number 2. Question number 2 was Yad Adhishthanam. So question number 2 was partly answered in the previous chapter also, but in this chapter also he answers Yad Adhishthanam and Yat Param. So Yat Param means what it depends on, and Yad Adhishthanam means what it is shelter. So that's where he says that Lord Narayan is the shelter of the universe, and dependence on the universe means he is only the person who we can call as the dependence of the universe. Only by his empowerment I create, Lord Shiva destroys, and he himself maintains everything. So there he answers yad adhishthanam and yad param. And then he starts to glorify the Lord. He says that it is not possible to completely know the Lord. Because I hold Lord Hari with great zeal in my heart, therefore my words are never false. The working of mind is never false. My senses are never distracted. So he says that it is not completely possible to know the Lord, but if still let us glorify the Lord, though we fully cannot understand him, but when we glorify the Lord, it is actually purifies us. So, and then after he says that let us glorify the Lord, he starts to describe the original creator, Mahavishnu. First of all, he says that it is the Mahavishnu only, after the creation has come to an end, everything actually conserves or dissolves into the body of Mahavishnu. And then he gives some various qualities of Lord Mahavishnu. He says that uh, the Lord is not material in nature. He is fully spiritual, although everything material comes from him, like that. And then after completing the process of creation, Brahmaji now on his own, he starts to describe the Leela avatar of the Lord. Leela avatar of the Lord, because he is very much fond of describing the Leela avatar of the Lord. And that is where the chapter number 6 concludes, and then we enter into chapter number 7. So let me know if everything is clear till chapter number 6. The flow is clear.
Yes.
It's clear? Okay.
Yeah.
Now we enter into chapter number 7. So in chapter number 7, he starts description of the various Leela avatars of the Lord. He talks about Manvantar avatar, Shaktiavesh avatar, Leela avatars, and also why all these avatars actually came, what were their purpose. And when he come to the description about Lord Krishna, he explains about how he appeared, what superhuman activities he performed, how he killed so many demons in Vrindavan and outside. Like that, he gives an elaborate description about Lord Krishna's appearance and his superhuman activities from verse number 26 to 35. Then he explains about the incarnations which are happening in Kali Yuga. Like for example, Vyasadev have come, Lord Buddha have come, and in future Kalki avatar will come, like that. So that's what he started to describe about the Leela avatar of the Lord, because Brahmaji think that explaining and glorifying the Leela avatar of the Lord is very, very satisfying, very, very dear to the heart. That's how he do it. Then he further comes back that it is impossible to understand the greatness of the Lord without his mercy. That's where he says that no one can describe Lord's greatness. Even Anantashesh could not reach the limit of Lord's glories. Only surrendered soul can know the Lord by his mercy. And surrendered souls who know the Lord, there is a list given there. Shiva, Swayambhuva, Manu, Ambrisha, Bhishma, Uddhava, Prahlad, Dhruva, Vidura, Arjuna. And even lower person can know the Lord by a devotee's mercy. So here the process of association is glorified. Like that, he says that nobody can know the Lord fully, but he one takes the association of his devotees, he can know the Lord. And then he explained this process that Bhagavan is superior to Paramatma and Brahman. And then ultimately he comes to instructing Narad Muni that this knowledge that I am giving to you, please distribute this knowledge to to others also. Like that, in the end, there is a Falashruti given. What is the importance of understanding the creation pastime? This creation done by the Lord actually is the utilization of the Lord of his Maya Shakti. Using the Maya Shakti of the Lord creates this universe. And then when we hear about this process, that everything is created by the Lord, we actually feel devoted, we feel attracted toward the Lord. We don't see the Maya, we don't see this creation of the Lord different from the Lord. Like for each and every question that Narad Muni had asked, the answer by Brahmaji was that it is actually the Supreme Lord only. How it is created, what are the ingredients, how does it work, everything that the question was asked, the answer by Brahmaji was that it is actually Supreme Lord only. So if we understand this part of creation, we understand that it is created by the Lord, then we don't fall into the trap of Maya. We see everything in connection with the Lord. That is where the 7th chapter ends. So any questions till this point? Clear?
Clear, Prabhuji, no problem.
Clear,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Okay, very good.
So, Prabhuji, in this point, number 3 point, where it is said Bhagwan is superior to Paramatma and Brahman.
Hmm.
So, can you kindly remind what all arguments are given in these verses?
He says
Or
that
does
qualities of
yes,
the aspect of the absolute truth. First of all, he discusses Paramatma. It is eternally peaceful, fearless, pure, bestows knowledge, and equal to all. Then he explains about Brahman, full of unlimited happiness, free from grief and indescribable by words. It is the formless aspect of Bhagwan. Then he mentions about Bhagwan. He says that Maya, his Swarup, being ashamed, cannot stand before the Lord. His Swarup is inexpressible by words. And then the above qualities of Brahman are seen more abundantly in Bhagwan. So, Jnanis and yogis give up their paths. Those who follow the path of artificial mental speculation and meditation finally give them up, as Indra, the demigod of rain, forgoes the trouble of digging a well, and Bhagwan is the
yes,
ultimate benefactor,
yes.
not Paramatma or
Okay.
Brahman. Even if the body is finished before perfection, the result is carried over. Like that, uh, he is explaining these different aspects by giving some description and then ultimately saying that Bhagwan is the ultimate benefactor.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now we have covered the second broader theme, second major theme of the Canto 2, which is creation. So here Brahmaji describes about the process of creation and then also explains that everything actually is the Supreme Lord only. Then now we enter into the third part, third broader theme. Third broader theme is mainly about the long list of questions that Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukdev Goswami, and then Shukdev Goswami start to answer Parikshit Maharaj questions, and then the discussion further continues. So this happens in chapter number 8, 9th and 10th. So first of all, now after answering the question about creation, then the focus once again goes back to Parikshit Maharaj, because Parikshit Maharaj asked that question. Parikshit Maharaj now inspires Shukdev Goswami to speak more Harikatha. He says that uh, uh, Harikatha is very glorious. It leads to purification of the heart. It leads to manifestation of a Lord in the heart. And the devotee never gives up the Lord's lotus feet. That is how he starts to glorify Harikatha. And then after glorifying Harikatha, Parikshit Maharaj presents a long list of questions. So you will see verse number 7 till 23. So these questions are about the Lord, about the Jiva, about Kala, Karma, and other various topics. So a long list of questions is asked by Parikshit Maharaj. Then Shukdev Goswami, uh, uh, then he inspires Shukdev Goswami to speak. He says that please answer all of that what I have asked and also that I have not asked. So here we understand that it is a sign of a very good student. He is only interested in learning. Maybe he has some doubts which he is already asking, but sometimes the student may not know what is worth learning. So he's presenting towards his teacher that even if I have not asked, if you think something is beneficial for me, please tell it to me. Like that, Parikshit Maharaj inspires Shukdev Goswami to speak. And then Shukdev Goswami says that I will answer your queries. I'm very pleased that you have asked these questions. I will answer these queries, first of all, by telling you how the Lord spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma in the very first Kalpa. And through that dialogue, I will try to answer your questions. Then the discussion enters into the next chapter, which is the chapter number 9. So, is it clear to chapter number 8? So, nothing much happens here in chapter 8. It is a long list of questions. And then he inspires Shukdev Goswami to speak. And Shukdev Goswami says that let me refer to you the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was first spoken by Lord to Brahma in the first Kalpa. That's how he will answer all the questions of Shukdev Goswami, because Bhagavatam contains answer to all the relevant questions. That's where chapter number 8 ends. So is it clear till chapter number 8?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Then in chapter number 9, first of all, Shukdev Goswami answers Parikshit Maharaj first question. That first question was about Jiva, if it is spiritual, how does it attain a body which is material? So he answered first of all this question. He says that the Jiva is afflicted with Maya, and because of this, Jiva is given various type of bodies, and while he enjoys these bodies, he thinks in terms of I and mine, and that is where he keeps on continuing to get bodies by bodies by bodies in different lifetimes. But when he gets in touch with the Supreme Lord, who is beyond time and Maya, he becomes free of misconception of I and mine, and that's where his process of turning back to God starts. Then in order to answer Parikshit Maharaj's question, Shukdev Goswami sets the platform for Brahma and Lord conversation. So first of all, he says that from the navel of the Lord, a lotus came, and on which Brahmaji appeared. But Brahmaji could not find the source of his where the lotus is coming from, and then he heard this words called tapa and tapa. He tried to locate from where this sound is coming, but could not locate. But then he understood that he is supposed to go to austerities, doing austerities, and then he started doing these austerities. Now, when Lord Brahma does these austerities, the Lord become very pleased and gives him darshan of himself as well as of his whole planet, Vaikuntha. And then there is a description of Vaikuntha Loka. It mentions that there are inhabitants in this Vaikuntha planet. There are various beautiful inhabitants. There are activities of the Lord. Mother Lakshmi is also serving the Lord. And then Brahmaji is very joyful after having darshan of the Lord, of having darshan of the Vaikuntha Loka. And then being pleased, the Lord then invites Brahma to ask for benedictions. So the stage for Brahma Lord conversation has been set. Brahmaji appears, he hears tapa tapa, and then he could not find from where this voice is coming, and then he meditates, he does the austerity, and then pleased by the austerity, Lord appears before Brahma, gives him darshana. He also mentions that actually the tapa that you were hearing actually was from me only. And then he asks Brahmaji to ask for benedictions. Then Brahmaji asks questions, mainly 4 questions Brahmaji asked, and each of these 4 questions were asked from verse number 26 to 30. And Lord Mahavishnu starts to speak Chatushloki Bhagavatam in response to the 4 questions by Brahma. So what were the 4 questions by Brahma? Please tell me about your material and spiritual forms. How are your various spiritual and material energies are working? How do you play with your energies? And then please let me know how, when I execute my services, I do not become entangled with pride and bondage. And then the Lord speaks the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Before he speaks Chatushloki Bhagavatam, he gives a prelude in verse number 31. In prelude, he tells that he is going to tell him about Jnanam, Vijnanam, Saharahasyam, and Tad Angam. So Jnanam means the Sambandha Jnana, which is spoken in Chatushloki Bhagavatam 1. And then he talks about the Vijnan, the realization of the form, which is spoken in Chatushloki 2. And then Sarahasyam, Prema Bhakti, is spoken in Chatushloki 3. And Tad Angam, how to achieve that Prayojan, the Priti, the Prema Bhakti, it is by the Abhideya, Tad Angam, the Sadhan Bhakti, which is spoken in Chatushloki 4. So then the Lord speaks Chatushloki 1, Chatushloki 2, 3, and 4, starting from verse number 33 all the way till verse number 36. So Chatushloki 1 is telling about Aham evasam evagre nanyad yat sadasat param paschad aham yad etaccha yo vashishyeta so samyaham. So here the Lord says that I exist before the creation. After the creation, in the creation also, when the creation happens, I only exist. And after the creation is annihilated, I exist, then only I am the Lord of Vaikuntha. So I alone exist. So what does it say? That Lord actually is the basis of everything. So that establishes the Sambandha Gyan. Then all about the Lord energies. So where the Lord says, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality, it is considered it to be Maya. So that's where he tells how to realize the Lord. See everything in connection with the Lord. If you don't see it, you are in Maya. If you see it, you are actually self-realized. You are you are in the right consciousness. Then Chatushloki Bhagavatam 3 is spoken, where he mentions that I myself exist within everything created, and at the same time I am outside of everything. So here he is hinting at Prema Bhakti. How? He's saying that if you do the right thing, if you do the right activities, then I can come as close as to you in the heart. I exist within everything created, and at the same time I'm outside of everything. So he's giving hint of the Prema Bhakti here when he says that I am within everything. He's also within the heart of the devotees. That's where he's hinting at Prema Bhakti. And in Chatushloki 4, he's giving the process of Bhakti. That the only purpose of somebody is only to search after the absolute truth. And then that is how one should live his life. And if he does it properly, then he will not be overcome by bondage, pride, or lethargy. So this is how the Chatushloki has been spoken. And then the Lord instructs Brahmaji and then takes and then he disappears. He goes away. The Lord speaks Chatushloki, concludes and disappears. And then after Chatushloki has been spoken, then Brahmaji is speaking to Narad Muni, where he mentions that all this knowledge of Chatushloki you need now to expand and expand in Parampara. You need to now further give it to all the other people in the universe. So like this, we conclude on chapter number 9 and we enter into chapter number 10. So chapter number 9, is it clear?
Yes,
Is it
Prabhuji.
clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Primarily it is about Chatushloki Bhagavatam and suggesting to Narad Muni that you need to spread this. So Narad Muni further spread it to Shukdev, Vyasdev. So you remember in Canto number 1, Vyasdev is visited by Narad Muni. Vyasdev is not satisfied. So that's where we see that Narada is instructing Vyasdev to spread Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is spread by Vyasdev to, first of all, he speaks to Shukdev Goswami, and Shukdev Goswami speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Like that, the parampara is getting established. And then it enters into chapter number 10. In chapter number 10, first of all, we discuss about the 10 characteristics of a Purana. What are the 10 topics? So 10 topics are Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Manvantara, Uti, Ishanukatha, Nirodha, Mukti, and Ashraya. Atra Sargo Visargascha, Sthanam, Poshanam, Utaya, Manvantara, Ishanukatha, Nirodho, Mukti, Ashraya, like that. And then we discuss that the purpose of the 9 topics is mainly to further understand the 10th topic, the 10th topic, the Ashraya, the supreme shelter, Lord Sri Krishna. That is the main purpose of understanding the the first 9 topics. And then he starts to explain about Sarga, creation of the Virat Rupa, and that is also the answer to the Parikshit question number 11, which he has asked in verse number 11 of 8th chapter. So the process of Sarga is already we had discussed that the navel from the Lord Mahavishnu, the lotus comes, Brahmaji takes birth on that lotus, and then the Lord as Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters in each of these universes. He first of all fills the universe with his own sweat, own water, and we discussed about that this is the very pure water. It is known as Nara because it comes from the body of Nara, and that is why the name has been received as Narayan. And then he talks about that how this Virat Roop of this universe, how this Virat Roop actually desires to eat or speak, and then comes the sense organ, gross sense organ, and then from this gross sense organ comes the subtle sense organ, and then comes the sense devata, and then comes the tanmatra and the bodily activity. So we discussed the process of creation once again, but this time we discussed this, that how when the Virat Roop desires, then the different sense organs appear. So the same creation procedure as we have discussed in the previous chapters was discussed once again, but this time it was discussed in a different way, in a way that when the Virat Roop desires, then this creation happens. So it is also hinting that if we desire in a particular way, that actually creates our own future life, like that. So the process of Sarga, the creation of Virat Rupa, was discussed, and then he further explains the process of Visarga. Further explains the process of Visarga. In the process of Visarga, he mentions that he started to create different species, different modes. He says that the Lord accepted the form of Brahma to create, and then these bodies were created based on the karma of the living entities of the past, and then various permutation combinations of modes creating varieties of species were created, like mode of goodness means the devatas, mode of passion means the human being, and mode of ignorance means the asuras, like that. And then within this there were various processes, there were various permutation and combinations, there were various process of permutation combination, like for example, in the human species, if you add more sattva guna, then the brahmanas were created. If you add some rajoguna, then the kshatriyas were created, like that. So further he mentions that the maintenance of this universe is done by Vishnuji, and that the destruction happens by Lord Shiva. And then he says that the Lord does not directly take part in this creation, but still this material nature is not independent of the Lord. So that is how he explains the process of Visarga. Then after hearing all these description, the sages of Naimisharanya thought that it is too much of technical details. Now they remembered that in the past, when Vidura Katha was being discussed, Suta Goswami had mentioned that Vidura left his home and went to a pilgrimage, and in the pilgrimage Vidura met Maitreya Muni. So the sages thought that it is quite technical, it is getting a lot of technical details are getting here. Now let me change the topic. Let us now first of all hear the Vidur Maitreya Samvad. And when they ask, then Suta Goswami says that actually the same question was asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami. Now let me explain you about the Vidur Maitreya Samvad, and then that's how the canto number 2 ends. So we will enter into canto number 3 by this Vidur Maitreya Samvad. So till here chapter number 10 is concluded. So I hope it is clear to you.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Actually, so much of
Wonderful
details,
division.
Prabhu, and
Hmm.
you have summarized it so well. I feel really like I must go through the whole canto one or two, three times before. But you have summarized it well. I think I can understand it better now.
Yeah. So now you see the relevance of this overview kind of sessions. You can connect the first chapter to the last chapter, how it progress. First of all, it is about answering Parikshit Maharaj question, then explaining about the Ashtanga Yoga process. Here in comes the Virat Rupa description, then comes all other process like Karma Kandas, demigod worship, and then the question has been answered. Then comes the next question, next set of question, creation. Then the Narad Brahma Samvad kicks in. Brahmaji is asked several questions by Narad Muni. Brahmaji now then explain the process of creation. Then you understand the Karana Srishti and the Karya Srishti. And then further on it continues to develop, and then ultimately Parikshit Maharaj further asks a series of questions, and then in order to answer that series of questions, then he first of all explains Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and then explains about the various topics in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then once again start to answer the question by Parikshit Maharaj, where he's talking about Virat Rupa, details of Virat Rupa. Then he starts once again the process of creation. Once again he starts to explain that when the Virat Rupa desires, then the creation happens. And then the sages start to think that it is getting very technical, and then let us ask about the Vidur Maitreya Samvad. In nutshell, this is the flow of the instruction in the canto number 2. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for taking all the pains for this. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. So thank you very much. All glory to Srimad Bhagavatam. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Any comments, questions? Maybe we can take now. I think we have already done in between, so maybe I expect no more comments and questions. For the next session, we have to do the quizzes, but certainly you please take time to explain me about the Sandarbhas. Probably you may want to vote for Bhagavatam, that okay, we have started Canto 2 and we let us continue till Canto 3. If you start Sandarbhas, then we have to pause Bhagavatam. Pause Bhagavatam means then even learning Sandarbhas will be an elaborate exercise. But that is the only benefit is that you understand Srimad Bhagavatam in the best possible way. There is no better way understanding Bhagavatam than by understanding Sandarbhas, because Bhagavatam is a very, very complicated book, not an easy book to digest and understand. If our whole Chaitanya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is standing on the foundation of these 6 books, then I would think that one should really take some effort to understand these 6 books. So please let me know what is your opinion, and then we can take the call. But that would mean stopping Bhagavatam and starting Sandarbhas. Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste, Mataji.
Namaste.
I
Okay.
have no doubt. I am available to study Sandarbhas.
Okay.
It will
Okay.
enjoy.
We will go by parliamentary process, voting process. I have not myself studied them. I don't know how difficult or easy, but we have a flexibility that in case you think that Sandarbhas are become too technical and too difficult and whatever, then we can once again come back to Bhagavatam. We can pause there. We can take that approach also. Okay.
Jai Shri
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.